A North Sound Police Department is breaking down a major barrier to communication: language.
Bellingham police realized officers were not able to interact with deaf people in the community, and that disconnect could be dangerous. KIRO 7's Joanna Small got a first-hand look at the innovative technology that is opening new lines of communication.
When Joel Bergsbakken and James Christensen walk into this Bellingham coffee shop, this is what it sounds like to Joel. Now, listen to what it sounds like to James. No, you didn't accidentally hit mute. You hear nothing, because James hears nothing. And if you think that makes ordering a latte intimidating, well, just imagine trying to report a crime you just witnessed to a police officer who doesn't know you're deaf and doesn't know American Sign Language.
English is our second language.
Joel and James are advocates at Bellingham's Hearing, Speech, and Deaf Center. Joel is hearing, James is deaf, and both saw the need to open a dialogue between the city's police department and the city's deaf community.
Because this story is about improving communication, there will be a box in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. James will be in it, and he will be translating this entire thing into ASL.
It's an entirely different language, James says, not a visual version of English. So writing is not equivalent to translating.
It takes a lot of effort to read. Hearing people, they learn to read by knowing how things sound, and the writing system matches the sounds. But it's hard to sometimes understand what they might have intended in a written word.
The Bellingham Police Department agrees. So Officer Eric Osterkamp set out to overcome the language barrier.
How does that happen? How does that work in other places?
Osterkamp got the idea for these placards from the Oregon State Patrol. Officers carry them, and so do James and his clients. They can point to pictures or indicate whether they can read lips or read text, or if they need an interpreter.
It would be nice if the police was aware of how to work with interpreters, and so that they can quickly get an interpreter on scene.
Hello, thanks for calling Language Line. This is Chris.
It doesn't get much quicker than this.
Hi, Chris. I'm Eric Osterkamp, and we have a witness here to a collision, and I need to ask him some questions.
Officer Osterkamp and James are on the scene of a pretend hit and run to demonstrate how an app that functions a lot like FaceTime or Skype allows them to communicate, practically in real time.
What direction did the truck head?
The BPD has only been using the app, which has live translators for countless languages, for a few months, and they only need the video component for ASL speakers.
All right, perfect, great, thank you.
Officer Osterkamp says this is life-changing technology. He remembers once responding to a collision where one of the parties involved was deaf.
I could tell he was angry, but his ability to communicate and my ability to understand what he was saying, there's this huge gap.
James and Joel say the app narrows the gap.
You know, in an emergency, there's a lot of information that needs to be transmitted quickly. And if in your second language, it's hard to find the words. But in ASL, in your primary language, you could express it clearly, and having an interpreter on the fly like that, you can have that quick back and forth.
So James never has to worry that just because he doesn't hear, he won't be heard. In Bellingham, Joanna Small, KIRO 7 News.
Reaching out to the community.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Things you don't think about sometimes.
Exactly, but are very important.
Yeah.
Well, SpaceX sent its second rocket in a week into orbit with some very important cargo.